Book of Heaven, Volume 23, Part 9. December 8th, 1927. One who lives in the divine will is regenerated by it and is endowed with its goods. The Virgin, little light, became sun by virtue of the divine will. I was doing my round in the whole creation to follow all the acts that the divine Fiat exercises in it. But while I was doing this, I thought to myself, I feel I cannot do without going around in the whole creation, as if I could not be without making my tiny little visits to the heavens, to the stars, to the sun, to the sea, and all created things, as if an electric wire were pulling me into their midst, to sing the praises of the magnificence of so many works, and to praise and love that divine will that created them, and that holds them tightly, as though on the palm of its divine hand, to preserve them beautiful and fresh, just as it issued them into the light of the day, and to ask for that very life and dominion that the divine Fiat has within them into the midst of creatures. Why then can I not do without? But while I was thinking of this, my beloved Jesus moved in my interior and told me, "My daughter, you must know that you were born not once, but twice. The first time, like the other creatures. The second time, you were regenerated in my will. And since you are a birth from it, all that belongs to it is yours. And just as a father and a mother endow their daughter with their own goods, so did my divine volition, as it regenerated you, endow you with its divine properties. So, who does not love? Who does not try to be amidst his properties? Who does not visit them often and form his dwelling in them, in order to enjoy them, love them, and never stop singing the glory of the one who endowed him with so many vast properties that contain so many different beauties? You would be too ungrateful. To be daughter of my divine will, and not to have your dwelling within the properties of the one who generated you, would be not to love the one who gave you birth with so much love, and not to recognize the riches of the one who generated you. So this is the reason for the necessity you feel to go around in the whole creation, because it is your own thing, and the one who generated you calls you with his electric wire of light and of love to enjoy and to love what is his and yours. And he enjoys hearing you repeat your repeated refrains. May the kingdom of your Fiat come upon earth. After this, continuing my round in all the things created by God, I paused when he created the sovereign queen, all beautiful, pure, and spotless, the new and greatest portent of all creation. And my highest good, Jesus, added, "My daughter, the Immaculate Mary, was the little light of the human stock, because the human earth was her origin. However, she was always daughter of the light, because no stain entered into this light. But do you know where all her greatness is? Who gave her sovereignty? Who formed seas of light, of sanctity, of grace, of love, of beauty, of power, inside and outside of her? My daughter, what is human does not know how to do great things, nor give great things. So the celestial queen would have remained the little light, had she not put her will as though aside, which was the little light, and had she not let herself be invested by my divine will, dissolving her little light in it, which is not little light, but endless sun, that investing her completely, formed seas of light around her, of grace, of sanctity, and embellished her so much as to render her all beautiful, with all the shades of the divine beauties, such as to enamor he who had created her. Her immaculate conception, though beautiful and pure, was always little light. It would have had neither the power nor sufficient light to be able to form seas of light and of sanctity, if our divine will had not invested the little light in order to convert it into sun. And if the little light, which was the will of the celestial sovereign lady, had not contented itself with becoming dissolved in the sun of the divine Fiat, to let itself be dominated by it. This was the great portent, the kingdom of my divine will in her. With it, everything she did became light. She nourished herself with light. Nothing came out of her that was not light, because she had the sun of my divine will in her power, which was such that she could draw from it as much light as she wanted to draw. And since the property of the light is to diffuse itself, to dominate, to fecundate, to illuminate, to warm, this is why the height of the sovereign queen, with the sun of my divine will that she possessed, diffused herself in God, and dominating him, she swayed him to descend upon earth. She became fecund of the eternal Word. She illuminated and warmed mankind. It can be said that she did everything by virtue of the kingdom of my will that she possessed. All of her other prerogatives can be called ornaments of this Mother Queen, but the substance of all her goods, of her height, beauty, greatness, and sovereignty, was that she possessed the kingdom of my will. So it is the lesser that is said about her, but not a word is spoken of the greater. This means that they know little or nothing about my will. Therefore they are almost all mute for it. December 14th, 1927. Just as the human will formed the bad seed, the divine will, reigning in the creature, will form the good and holy seed. How God, in giving a good to the creature, first encloses the whole value of that good in one alone, and then gives it to the other creatures. continuing in my abandonment in the divine will, and feeling myself all surrounded by the endless sea of its light, I was praying my beloved Jesus to hasten, to quickly make his will known, so that by knowing it, all might long for its kingdom, to let themselves be dominated by it. And my lovable Jesus told me, "My daughter, the human will formed the bad seed and the woodworm in the human generations. Now, the son of the light of my divine will must very much break down this bad seed, and invest it and destroy it by dint of light, of heat, and of knowledges. So each knowledge I manifest to you on my divine fiat is a blow that I give to the human will, in such a way that all the knowledges about it will form as many blows to make it die, and its light and heat will pulverize it, will burn the bad seed away, and will form the good and holy seed of my will in the human generations. And as I keep manifesting the knowledges about it, I sow its seed into your soul. I prepare the soil and the development of the seed, and the light and heat of my divine volition lay the wings of light of my will over the seed, more than a mother who hides her baby within her womb, in order to fecundate it, multiply it, and let it grow within its womb of light. And just as one creature, by doing his human will, produced the bad seed and formed the ruin of the human family, so will another creature, by making the human volition die, produce the seed of the divine fiat. By giving it life and dominion within herself, she will restore what creatures lost, and will form their salvation, sanctity, and happiness. If one creature was able to form so many evils by doing his will, why can another creature not form all goods by doing my will and giving it freedom to form its life and to form its kingdom in her?" Then I continued thinking about the divine fiat, and I said to myself, "But how can this kingdom of the divine will come into the midst of creatures, if sin abounds, and no one gives a thought to wanting this kingdom? On the contrary, it seems that they think about wars, about revolutions, about putting the world upside down, and it seems that they are consumed with rage, because they cannot achieve completely their perverted designs, lying in ambush, waiting for the occasion. Does all this not drive the grace of a good so great away?" And my beloved Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, I have you, who are worth more than anything, and putting everything aside, I will look at your value, that is, the value of my divine will in you, and I will dispose my kingdom in the midst of creatures. A person is worth according to the value that is entrusted to him. If my will contains an infinite value that surpasses the whole value of all creatures together, one who possesses it before the divine majesty has the value that surpasses everything. So, for now, I have you, and this is enough for me. in order to dispose the kingdom of my will. Therefore, all the evils of this time, and they are too many, do not equal the great value of my divine will operating in one creature alone. And my will use these evils to make a heap out of them, and with its power to banish them from the face of the earth. The same happened in redemption. Evils had not been banished from the earth. On the contrary, they abounded more than ever. But since the sovereign queen came upon earth, the creature who possessed a divine will within herself, who enclosed the whole value of the good of redemption, looking not at others, nor at their evils, I looked at the value of this celestial creature, which was sufficient to impetrate my descent upon earth. And in view of she alone, who possessed our prerogatives and the value of a divine and infinite will, I gave and formed the kingdom of redemption in the midst of creatures. So, in disposing the good of redemption, I wanted to find the whole value of it within my mamma. I wanted to place in safety, inside her maternal heart, all the goods that my coming upon earth into the midst of creatures was to enclose. And then I conceded the good that the sovereign Queen of Heaven was asking of me. I acted like a prince, when he must leave for a destination of more conquests. He chooses the most faithful one. He entrusts his secrets to him. He places in his hands the whole value of the expenditures needed for the conquests wanted, and trusting this one alone, who knows he possesses the whole value of the conquests desired, he takes leave triumphantly, knowing that the victory is certain. So I do. When I want to give a good to creatures, first I trust one of them alone. I place in her the whole value of that good, and then, as though assured, I give the good that she asks of me for the other creatures. Therefore think of enclosing within yourself the whole value that the kingdom of my will must contain, and I will think of disposing all the rest that is needed for a good so great. December 18th, 1927. How the Virgin possessed the kingdom of the divine Fiat. How the lights dived, and she was able to conceive. How Jesus, from within the veil of his humanity, like rising sun, kept tracing all creatures. How each divine manifestation is a commitment that God makes to creatures. I was thinking about the great love of when my highest good, Jesus, incarnated himself in the womb of the height of the Sovereign Lady, and of how a creature, though holy and with no stain at all, could contain a God. And my always lovable Jesus, moving in my interior, told me, "My daughter, my celestial mamma possessed my will. She was so filled with it as to overflow with light, but so much that her waves of light rose up into the bosom of our divinity, and making herself the conqueror by the power of our divine volition that she possessed, she conquered the celestial Father, and captured the light of the Word into her light, and made him descend even into her womb. within the same light that she had formed by virtue of my divine will. I could never have descended from heaven had I not found our own light within her, our own will reigning in her. Had it not been so, it would have been like descending from the very first moment into a foreign house. But I was to descend into my house. I was to find the place into which to lower my light, my heaven, my countless joys. And the celestial sovereign lady, by possessing my divine will, prepared for me this dwelling, this heaven, in nothing dissimilar from the celestial fatherland. Is perhaps not my will what forms the paradise of all the blessed? So, as the light of my Fiat drew me into her womb, and the light of the Word descended, the lights dived together, and the pure Virgin, Queen and Mother, with few drops of blood that she made flow from her burning heart, formed the veil of my humanity around the light of the Word, and enclosed it within it. But my light was immense, and while my divine Mamma enclosed its sphere within the veil of my humanity that she formed for me, she could not contain the rays. They overflowed outside, and more than sun, that at its rising, from the height of its sphere, spreads its rays over the earth, to trace the plants, the flowers, the sea, and all creatures, to give the effects that its light contains to all, and as though triumphant from the height of its sphere, it looks at the good it does, and at the life it infuses in each thing it invests. So I did. More than rising sun from within the veil of my humanity, the rays that overflowed outside kept tracing all creatures, to give my life and the good I had come to bring upon earth to each one of them. These rays from within my sphere pounded on each creature. They beat down strongly to tell them, "Open for me. Take the life I have come to bring you." This sun of mine never sets, and still continues to follow its course, spreading its rays, pounding and pounding on the hearts, on the wills, on the minds of creatures, over and over again, in order to give my life. But how many close the doors to me, and reach the point of making fun of my light. But my love is so great that in spite of this, I do not draw back. I continue my continuous rising to give life to creatures. After this, I was continuing my round in the divine volition, and my beloved Jesus added, "My daughter, each prophecy I gave to my prophets about my coming upon earth was like a commitment I made to creatures of my coming into their midst. And the prophets, by manifesting them, disposed the peoples to desire and to want a good so great. And these, in receiving these prophecies, received the deposit of the commitment. And as I kept manifesting the time and the place of my birth, I kept increasing the pledge of the commitment. So I am doing with the kingdom of my will. Each manifestation I make concerning my divine fiat is a commitment that I make. Each knowledge about it is one more pledge that I add. And if I make my commitments, it is a sign that just as the kingdom of redemption came, so will the kingdom of my will come. My words are lives that I issue from myself, and life must have its dwelling and produce its effects. Do you think that one more manifestation, or one less, is something trivial? It is one more commitment that a God makes, and our commitments cannot go lost. And the more commitments we make, the closer the time is to carry out our commitments and to place them all in safety. This is why I require of you highest attention, and that you let nothing escape you. Otherwise, you would let a divine commitment escape you, and this would carry some consequences. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 23, Part 9. Fiat.